I was getting ready for work. I was in San Diego. I was doing research at the Naval Hospital at Balboa. Like I said, I was getting ready and I turned on the news while I just flipped on my computer to check emails from your dad to see what he was up to that day. And he said, turn on the TV. And that was it. And he basically said, look out for the news. And I turned on the news and there was videos of a plane crashing into one of the towers, the first tower. And I was like, this is a weird movie. That was my initial reaction. I thought it was a really bad movie. They kept on showing it on repeat. And I realized it wasn't a movie.
I was deployed. I was on the USS Carl Vinson as part of the Carl Vinson Battle Group. And September 11th was the day we were supposed to transit from the Arabian Sea into the Persian Gulf to begin what was then called Operation Southern Watch. It was the same deployment mission that the Navy has been doing for 10 years. So on September 11th, that day, it was a normal day because of the time change. I ate dinner. I went down to my room, turned on the TV, and it was the news. We didn't get a lot of channels, and one of the towers was smoking. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is a horrible accident. I don't know what's going on. And then all of a sudden the second plane hit. And I knew then this was different. This was something else entirely.
Good evening. Today, our fellow citizens, our way of life, our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts.
Well, it changed my life. I went from, I'm just joining the Navy, I'm going to help people do things, to, wow, I'm accomplishing missions. I am part of something bigger. And I was kind of excited to be a part of it, but it sucked that that's what I was being a part of, was this big event. It changed my perspective that there's not just big state actors out there who are potential bad guys. There are actual bad guys out there, and they can be anywhere, and they can do bad things at any time.
That was a very, very scary time and very confusing. Started like a normal day. I'm teaching a class, a reading class, it's Latin 3 and 4, older kid. And we're just doing our thing, and one of the librarians knocked on my door, looked into it, and she said, turn on your TV. She said, a plane has hit the World Trade Center. So we turned on the TV. I thought it was a little private plane off track, and we saw planes and the whole deal. And while we're watching, we saw the second plane hit. And it's terrifying. We're under track, and I knew when we watched it in real time, I had seen thousands of people die right there. One of my looked at me and said, Miss Nora, what's happening? I have no idea. We heard about the Pentagon has been hit, and another plane missing in Pennsylvania, probably part of the same thing. I worried about my family and my whole. Your dad in the Navy on an aircraft carrier in the Persian Gulf, I think. I don't know if I knew it at that point. And Cindy lives in Atlanta, large metropolitan area that could be attacked. Nana and Pop lived near a very large Fort Benning military installation. They could be attacked. I was scared, we were worried, and I didn't know how to calm anybody down. It was really frightening. That evening, Grandpa had a church service, so going to the church service, you do, we don't know. And retired Navy Captain Finbar saw me, and he came up. I didn't even say a word. He put his arm around me and said, "You need to know right now that he is probably safer than the rest of us." And he explained, on the aircraft carrier, there's all kind of coverage. They could spot a plane coming in. There's other ships around to protect them. And he also told me I wouldn't hear from your dad for a while. He said they'll cut down all communications. Don't worry. And that was a big help. I was terrified. We had no idea what was going on. Well, there were a lot of changes that have happened since then. All the security everywhere, especially flying at TSA. The whole Department of Homeland Security was created then. Never existed before that. For me, it was frightening. And you became very suspicious of people, especially people who look different. And it took me longer than I like to admit to get over it, because I was raised where that sort of thing didn't matter, and to accept and trust people, and it took a while for it to come back. I have to, but it did. It did. But the world changed. All of a sudden, we were vulnerable. We could be attacked in a big way, and we had just taken it for granted before then that nothing bad would happen to us. Nobody would dare do that. We figured the word is almighty as we thought. It was scary.
Good evening. Tonight, I can report to the American people and to the world that the United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden, the leader of al-Qaeda, and a terrorist who's responsible for the murder of thousands of innocent men, women, and children. It was nearly 10 years ago that a bright September day was darkened by the worst attack on the American people in our history. The images of 9/11 are seared into our national memory. Hijacked planes cutting through a cloudless September sky, the Twin Towers collapsing to the ground, black smoke billowing up from the Pentagon, the wreckage of Flight 93 in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, where the actions of heroic citizens saved even more heartbreak and destruction. And yet we know that the worst images are those that were unseen to the world. The empty seat at the dinner table, children who were forced to grow up without their mother or their father, parents who would never know the feeling of their child's embrace,